We're here with Priscilla Grainger, who's the mummy of, you might remember one of the interviews we did a few weeks back, Amy Grainger. She came in to talk to us what it was like to be a child who was a witness to domestic violence and abuse. So her mum is in today to talk to us about her experiences of domestic violence firsthand. Priscilla.
Hi.
You're brave. I say that about a lot of people, but you're brave. Welcome to Straight Talk.
Thank
Where will we start? You're from Dublin.
In Dublin.
And you had a idyllic childhood.
I did, yeah. Wonderful parents.
Yeah.
Good cousins, good group of friends. Life was good.
Life was sweet.
Enjoyed life. Had a great teenage years. Great fun. Next thing, met the man of my dreams, as I thought.
Of your dreams. He was a prince. He treated you, you were telling me, extremely well.
Oh yeah, gentleman. Yeah. Absolute gentleman. Up to when we decided to get married.
Okay.
Great wedding, great celebrations, the full lot, full Monty as such, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Went on our honeymoon, second night of my honeymoon, it started.
The second night, the minute he had you, it started.
It started.
What started? What happened? Can you take us back?
And he beat me up because I didn't do as I was told.
What were you supposed to be doing?
Obviously, we went to Florida on honeymoon and I was tired and I decided to go on up to the room. And he wanted to stay down and have another couple of jars. And I said, not stopping you. Stay. I went up, read a book. The next thing he arrived up, he said, you left me on my own down there. You'll do as you're told. And this type of an attitude.
And that was unusual, that never happened before?
never.
So it must be very shocking.
Then I looked and I said, and I laughed, and he said, don't laugh. And I laughed because I thought he'd completely lost it, you know.
Yeah.
And he said, you're married now to me. He said, you shouldn't have left me down there. And I said, would you go away like that? And the next thing, he said, what did you say? And I said, you're not going to tell me what to do. Obviously, I wasn't quiet, don't get me wrong. I was never quiet. I'm fairly mouthy when it comes to right and wrong.
Of course.
And I said, don't speak to me like that. And with that, he was sort of going the side of the bed, and with that he just pushed me. And I said, what did you do? And with that, straight up at the side of the neck is where I got the first one. And then I went in at the side here.
Jesus.
And I was shocked.
Yeah.
Because he'd never, ever done that before. So the next morning, he woke up and I said, do you realise what you've done? Do you realise what you did last night? Look, I had a few jars. You're just blowing it out of proportion. You're just blowing it out of proportion. So I put it down to be a one-off, right? And that was really it as such for the honeymoon. But what I noticed on the honeymoon was a controlling then of finances. You know, we were in Las Vegas and there was a controlling of what I was spending in the shops, yet it was no problem for him to gamble in the casinos.
Okay.
So I realised, you know, there was a problem here, but thought, oh, look, love is blind.
At that age, you were quite young.
Quite young. Well, I was just 30, you know.
Oh, you were 30.
I was just 30.
Yeah.
So we came back anyway after honeymoon, came back to Dublin, moved into our house. When I came back into the house and I realised there was something wasn't right, I had looked around and seen the house that I had done up, that he actually hadn't contributed at all to the house. And in fairness, I would give some credit to his sisters who were extremely good to me. They had helped me in the house, but he hadn't contributed to the house as in doing it up or his first home, that he would be excited about this. And I then realised, am I just here because I'm a worker? Am I here because of money? And the next thing, the abuse started then. And it got worse and worse.
The physical abuse?
Physical abuse first, because I would have a problem. He was a big gambler, okay? The mistake I made, and I say it to anybody out there, move in with your partner before you marry them. I didn't. So I didn't know that on a Saturday morning that he would get up at 9 o'clock, go for the paper, come back, sit at the table and pick out his horses for the day. He would go to the bookies and I might see him at 2:30. He'd go back down to the bookies to collect or whatever he was at. So this caused a massive row within the marriage. So this row, he would, in actual fact, provoke this row so he wouldn't come home.
Oh, it gave him an excuse to stay out.
Stay out. So then he'd go to the pub and he'd have a few jars and then he'd come back in. And then I just left. I left. We weren't even a year married and I walked out. I had enough of it. And he pleaded that he'd get help for gambling. He knew he was backing a lot more than normal, and I said, okay. So I came back and he went, and he did, in fairness, he went and he got help, but it didn't last. And then I became pregnant and Amy was born. During the pregnancy, there was 2 times he had given me, he threw a vase at me and hurt me quite badly, which brought me, I didn't know until now, I'd only discovered it, it brought me into early labour.
Oh.
And they had to give injections to Amy, to steroids, to stop her, to develop her kidneys, liver and heart. But I didn't realise this was down to domestic violence because I hadn't said it, you see. It's afterwards then you speak about these things. So Amy was born and it got worse. It got so bad that he wasn't being minded and he wasn't being cared for.
Was he jealous?
Oh, totally jealous.
Yeah.
Totally jealous. Because
The attention was...
he didn't really want a wife. He wanted a mother,
Oh, okay.
right? He wanted a mother. He really never wanted a wife. He wanted someone just to mind him. So I was mother to the 2 of them. But Amy was my priority. And obviously the dark days I had to work. I had no choice. We had a family business. My parents and myself, I had to work. I'd come home and I'd find him sitting on the sofa with Amy, supposed to be minding her. Her nappy mightn't have been changed from when I left that morning at 7 o'clock.
Neglecting her.
Neglecting her, so that was it. Enough was
Yes.
enough. I took control of that. When I bring that up about why wasn't Amy changed, why wasn't she looked after, the replies I get back will be, you're off your fucking head. Just be your attitude. You're mad in the fucking head. And then I'd be saying,
Am I?
am I mad in the
Am I
head?
mad? Yeah.
I think I actually... Sure, there's no man could treat his child like that. Or there's no man could treat a woman like that. No, maybe it is all in my head.
Yeah.
So I started to question me, which I have never, ever, ever had to do before. So I left him. I took the brave choice to go when Amy was 9 months old. And I left one night on New Year's Eve, and I left in the early hours of the morning at 4 o'clock. I drove around the city centre. Mm-hmm. I knew he was out, and I knew I'd get him home. With a few jars in him, he'd be out for the count. Bundled Amy into the back of the car, had hot water bottles in the car to keep that 9 months old driving around Dublin City on New Year's Eve.
You'd know where to go.
I'd know where to go. My parents were down in Leitrim. Couldn't turn to anybody. Who do you turn to? His family lived around the corner. They wouldn't want to know.
So what was in your head? Where were you going?
I was heading to Leitrim, but I didn't want to ring my parents so early in the morning. And the last thing I wanted to do was, you know, this attitude, the old Irish attitude, run home to Mammy.
You failed.
I failed.
Yes.
Now, my parents wouldn't have looked at it like that, but I suppose others would. And I wanted to be a good mummy. I wanted to be a good wife. Was I failing as a good wife? Was I failing as a good mother? I needed to know these things. So anyway, I had to get out. And I got out for a week and he pleaded with me. He threatened suicide. He threatened a lot. As my mother said, it's not a pity he didn't do it. He would have taken a lot of pain away for us all. Mm-hmm. And anyway, I went back and I went back to my, I reckon I went back to my death.
You went back to your death?
Mm. I reckon he would have killed me. I stayed within the marriage and he bet me senseless.
Jesus.
He bet me senseless. He broke my jaw.
What?
We were out one night and because I wouldn't go to Reynard's late, we came in the door and he flung me against a rad and I fell down and broke my jaw. My ribs was injured. And the great part on this is, again, I never realised, I thought this was normal in a marriage. I thought it was normal.
When you went to the hospital,
I didn't.
how did your jaw...
Who believed me?
That's what you believed.
Who believed me?
You thought, who would believe me?
Who would believe me? Who would believe? And people would say she was drunk. And I wasn't a big drinker.
Yes.
Yes, I'd have a good few bottles of Heineken or dry martini and soda was my jar, but I wasn't a big spirit drinker. Didn't drink wine. I wasn't what you would call, I'm still not a big drinker.
No.
Enjoy going out and having a laugh. But the next morning I couldn't even move, and I confided in a chiropractor, and he pleaded with me, and eventually I got the strength and I went to the guards in Cabra. And a fantastic vanguardia stripped me down. She took photographs of me. And she said, if you don't go, I'm going to do something about Amy. Amy's in danger zone. And I hadn't particularly liked this particular vanguardia because I tried before, but she'd seen the injuries. She took photographs of the injuries of my side. And she said, please. So I said, okay, I would. I got the strength to do it, and I said, off we'll go and I'll do it. And I was getting ready the next morning, got a phone call from the hospital to say that my father had taken bad. Anyway, sadly that night my dad passed away. Couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. There was too much going on in my head. Where was I going to go? What was I going to do? So anyway, I came back. The domestic violence stopped. He didn't hit me, but he mentally destroyed me.
How?
I turned on the cooker to make the dinner, you know. I took 2 days off work, family business, took 2 days off work.
After your father
Passed away. 2 days off work, right.
Yeah.
And I put on the oven. And I might go up to the bathroom, I come down the oven and be turned off. Right?
Was this to mess with your...
Oh, he was messing with me.
This was all deliberately...
Yeah.
Abusive.
Now, he didn't know that I knew that he was having an affair, an extramarital affair down in Galway, okay? The night that my father was dying. I discovered he was having an affair in Galway with another person, okay?
Okay.
So, Amy was making her Holy Communion 5 days later after the funeral, so I had to keep it very level. So anyway, after the funeral, had all the evidence and I threw it at him and I put him out.
Good.
And I thought, now Priscilla, strength. And he was gone 9 months. And he got back into the brain again. He got back in. He was so successful at it. And the marriage lasted for 18 months. And I discovered one night, we were at home, and there was something very explicit sent to my phone.
Right.
And foolish of him, he texted from his phone, don't open it.
Right.
And I didn't open it. So he texted me and he said, oh, I don't know, he said, there's something wrong with the networks. There's something going on here with the networks on the phone, he said. And what I got, I'm not even going to repeat what it is, it's not suitable for TV. And he said, it dawned to me, there's something not right here. He came in and he said to me, we need to do something about this marriage. And I said, why? What's the matter with the marriage? And he said, you're not treating me properly. Well, I said, we don't have the money to be going here, there and yonder. And I said, why don't we sell the house, clear off all our debts, move in with my mum, who lives on the Navan Road, who had asked us previously to do this. And he said, okay, so we did this. Cleared all of the debts, the short-term debt, because there was always credit cards built up because of the gambling, but he was always putting it down to me, oh, you took money out of the account, but it wasn't. He was gambling it. It was gone. But he was financially draining us all out. So we sold the house, moved down to the Navan Road, and the next thing, he backed me up. We were only in about 3 weeks and he backed me up. And he gave me an awful hiding and Amy witnessed it. So anyhow, I came home one day from work and Amy said, Mum, I think Daddy's having an affair. Again. And I said, why? I seen him with another phone. And literally within a half an hour, I get an anonymous phone call to tell me that this man, who had financially destroyed me, who mentally and emotionally destroyed me, who destroyed my life, was a pimp in Dublin 4.
That's one I haven't heard before. A pimp in Dublin 4. How did you get out?
I put him out.
You put him out?
I put him out because I had a safety order in place
Okay.
for 5 years, and he always was at me to try and get the safety order lifted, and I wouldn't lift it. So I put him out. Now, I didn't put him out, my own security company put him out. So from, look, it went on with more threats, back into court, out of court. So I got the strength. I just one day said, this is it. So I just picked up my socks and I said, here goes. I'm going to run with this. No one is going to bring me down any longer.
Wow.
He was exposed by newspapers. So I knew then the Priscilla that was told she was mad, the Amy that was told, sit in your bedroom, do as you're told. We weren't those people. We were just mentally abused and physically abused by this man. No longer was it going to happen. So I said, I've got to do something about it. So I knew the courts were there. Were they there in enough way to help people? No, they weren't.
Yes, yeah. So what did you do?
So I decided to set up an organisation.
Which is called?
Which is called Stop Domestic Violence in Ireland. My daughter Amy is now meeting Minister for Justice Francis Fitzgerald on October 4th to try and get domestic violence criminalised in Ireland. Like, where would you say it's not even criminalised? Oh, one thing I will say to you out of this interview.
Yeah.
Man, woman, young, old, it doesn't matter. Don't stay in an abusive relationship. Amy and I are here, teenagers, young kids, we're here. You don't just leave overnight, you plan your exit, and that's the safe thing.
Yes.
You plan your exit.
Yeah.
Like, look what happened in Cavan with the Hoff family. You must plan your exit. We're here. We can be contacted through Facebook, which is the safest way, or you can contact us on 086 869 7022. And I plead with anybody, don't stay in it, because number one, they mentally change you. They leave you, they bring on sickness. I was lucky I didn't come out of this with tumours or cancers. I know girls that have,
Yes.
and men that have.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the lucky ones. I survived it because I was strong enough and I had the support of a good family behind me. But I'm pleading with anybody, talk to us. We're here for you, but you must plan your exit. That's the whole secret to it.
That's exactly it. And I'm going to be talking about that after this interview, is how you plan your exit, where you go, what you hide, that you have your money prepared, what numbers you have, your safety phone numbers hidden in your phone. I'm sure that your organisation has that all, the list.
We've everything.
Of what you need.
We even have free SIM cards we give out.
You have to, exactly.
We even have free
The
SIM
extra
cards.
mobile phone,
Yes.
everything.
We don't take cash. We don't take donations. What we take is shopping vouchers. Because 9 times out of 10, on Christmas Eve, you can be assured that the mummy doesn't have any Santy toys because they've been gambled or they've been sold for drugs.
Yeah.
So we're always there for you. Always.
And your future.
It's bright.
You happy?
Absolutely delighted. Life was really, really good.
Yeah.
Really enjoy the foundation, enjoy helping people. I help the homeless as well. Yeah, life is good. It's completely different than I ever planned it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a beautiful daughter. She's amazing. I have a fantastic family and friends.
Why do you look sad?
Sometimes I think I failed.
What did you fail as?
When I sit back sometimes and think, he had me so well coached, he kept me down. I was that height. I'm only now starting to smile again.
Because that's not you.
Because that wasn't me.
No.
I'm only starting to smile again. I'm only starting to laugh again. Like, all I ever worried about for the last 5 years was finances. How am I going to pay the ESB? How am I going to pay this? Because he destroyed me. I never had that prior to meeting this guy. Yeah, it was always worries, and I'd be going out 6 nights a week instead of 4 nights a week. Who doesn't when you're young and single? But I wanted to marry, to grow old with the man that was supposed to love me, who promised my father, who adored me, that he would mind me. But he couldn't do that.
No.
He damaged me. Right, I'm probably permanently damaged through some injuries that he caused, but my mental stability, because I have fantastic counsellors. 2 of the counsellors that took Amy and I on did it for nothing, because they saw what we had
What
suffered,
you suffered, yeah.
how bad it was. And I would do the same, and we have a counsellor on board now in our organisation who does it for nothing as well. Because when you have nothing, and when you don't have a single cent in your pocket,
Yeah.
nobody really wants you. It's very hard. There's an old saying, you know, when you're looking for something, you'll never find it, and someday when you don't want it, it arrives on your doorstep.
But you found those counsellors.
They were fantastic, and to this day, we're in direct contact daily. We're now great friends. We go on holidays together.
So there's hope.
And I plead with anybody out there, please, don't stay in there.
Priscilla,
Get out.
I think your message is strong, and I thank you for coming in and sharing that.
And
with
thank
us.
you, Liz.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.